Good evening, all, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Evening Happy Hour with Back to Basics Dog Training. I'm head trainer Leon, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm excited to be here like usual. With that being said, we're going to get into some topics right off the bat today. I had the privilege of working with some puppies this week, 3 of them to be precise. And it's funny, it was 3 puppies in 2 different homes, and the same question was asked. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on how to properly, and I don't want to use the word properly, but properly deal with puppies. Now that we're home, we have a pandemic, we're working from home, whatever the case may be. I want people to understand the puppies still need quiet time, crate time. So even though we're home or they can be semi-supervised, it's not that I'm worried about them getting in trouble or whatever. They need to be in the crate sleeping, not wandering around the house, not getting distracted. They need to sleep, just like an infant would need to sleep. Good evening. Almost said good morning. Michelle, Athena, Rob, if you're there, I'm glad you guys can join me on this Wednesday evening, as always. So my suggestion to both of these families with their puppies is, one, the puppies need to be in the crate more often. And I got the same question in both houses. The puppy barks in the crate. What do I do? And in both cases, they were actually taking the puppies out of the crate when they barked. And I'm like, you can't do that, because it's like taking a child out of a crib when they cry. You condition them. I bark, I get taken out. So if I don't want to be in here, I'll just bark. So we need to understand they are going to bark. They're pack animals. They want to be with us, yes, and I understand all that. But that barking is their way of trying to control the situation, and we really don't want them controlling the situation if at all possible. So if they bark, I let them usually bark for about 5 minutes, and then I walk back into the room and I'm like, nope. And I don't care if they're 6 weeks old, 4 months old, whatever the puppy stage is, I'm going to make the correction. Nope. When they calm down, they're quiet, I just turn around and walk out. I don't say another word. And if they start it again, I do the same process until they understand. Every time they bark, they're going to actually get disciplined. But when they're calm, good, walk out. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. But it seems like down here in the South Carolina area, a lot of people have puppies. I don't know what's going on up north. Does Athena need to sleep during the day? I'm assuming that's supposed to be. Yes. She's 3.5. She doesn't sleep much throughout the day. When we do crate her during the day, she doesn't sleep. I watch her on camera. They really do. They don't need necessarily sleep, but they need rest. I read an article that I Googled a while ago for a customer. An average adult dog needs to sleep approximately 12 to 14 hours a day, or at least be resting 12 to 14 hours a day. So if she's in her crate and she's not sleeping and she's just laying there, that's fine. She's getting rest. It's more important they get the rest that the sleep comes. She's not going to sleep like a puppy, of course. You know, it's like an infant sleeps more than a toddler. Toddler sleeps more than a teenager. Teenagers sleep more than adults. And then we get to senior citizens and we start sleeping again. So does she need to? No, not necessarily. She doesn't have to be sleeping the whole time, but she definitely needs to be resting. My concern with the puppies is because puppies can get easily distracted, every noise, everything they hear, everything they see, they kind of want to know what's going on. So they're not getting enough rest during the day. And that will create problems, or could, let me rephrase that, could create problems in the future. Um, the other thing that I've noticed that the one customer I worked with today who had two puppies, she spoke to other trainers. And I wanted you guys to be aware, like any other industry out there, there's scammers all over this world. And there, I think, people in my field, and as much as I hate to admit it, that do try to scam people because it's about the almighty dollar. So she had called up a few trainers, which she should have done before she contacted me. And one of the trainers told her, well, it's a puppy. It's going to go through three different phases. And you got two of them. She has a 6-week-old and a 4-month-old puppy. And it's going to go through these different phases. And, so I can do a program with these puppies for, it was almost $1,700. And I sat there, I was like, what? $1,700 for puppy training? I don't care if it's two of them. Guys, it doesn't have to be that way. So, one of the things, I talk about constantly is that the energy is the most important communication tool we have with our animals. I know this. I think you guys know it. It is real important that we communicate from puppyhood and set rules from puppyhood. Both of my customers, or actually I had two questions last week. One was at a customer's home and one was on a Zoom networking thing I was doing. I was introducing myself. I said I was a dog trainer, and one of the people in the networking group has a puppy, and they said, well, we got this 12-week-old, I think it was a golden retriever, and we want to, when should I start leash training? When should I start training the dog? And I'm like, well, how long have you had the puppy? 3 weeks. And I said, your training should have started 3 weeks ago. And I'm serious about that, because what that trainer was trying to do was say, you're going to go through these different phases of puppyhood. And if you relate it back to humans, we go through infant, toddler, preteen, teen, adult. Okay, we go through these stages, and the parents that set clear, decisive rules for their infants, going into toddlerhood, going into preteen, going into teen, don't have as many issues. And that's the same thing I try to tell people with puppies is, if you do the training from day one, you set clear rules, you set clear boundaries, you understand that discipline is okay in the dog world, and because that's part of setting the rules, you don't go through those other stages as badly. I don't even know if that was good English, but you don't go through it, so you can eliminate that nonsense that, well, we'll train now, they're 4 months old, we'll train, then we'll do another training and when they're 8 months old because they're going to have other problems, and then we're going to do it when they're a year and a half because they're going to have other issues. If you start that training from day one, you set clear, decisive rules, boundaries, and limitations, exercise discipline, and then the affection, you don't have as severe of an issue when they turn 7, 8 months old, a year and a half to 2 years old. You won't go through those issues that people experience because they have a very good foundation. And like anything else in life, you can't have a good house unless you have a good foundation, but the foundation needs to start the moment you bring the puppy home. So again, if this is making sense, guys, if people watching it live, hit the like, comments, let me know what makes sense in the comments, hit the like button. Anybody watching on the replay, you can hit the like button then, or send me a comment. Let me know if any of this makes sense, or if you need me to elaborate more, because I definitely will. So again, I see it. I know it's out there, but you set the clear rules. And the beauty of it is, I'm using puppies as the example. The moment we bring them into the home, we start setting rules. I'm going to take that to older dogs. You rescue a dog's a year and a half, 2 years old, whatever it may be. If you bring them into your house and you set clear, decisive rules from the day they walk into your home, you'll see everything else goes so much smoother. It's not about letting them free run all over the place. It's not about smothering them with affection. It's about setting the rules first. You set the rules first, you get a lifetime of loving. And it's harder for the human than the dog. I know that because we see these. I mean, that puppy I saw today, it was about this big. It was a pit bull puppy. It was 6 weeks old. It was the most adorable thing on the face of the freaking earth. All you want to do is screw it, but it was biting my shoelaces. So I had to actually say no to it because I know, and you know, that eating my shoelaces and ingesting them could be a death sentence. So wouldn't I want to tell them, even at 6 weeks old, that's not an acceptable behavior? Yes, I know they're teething. Yes, I know all that garbage. But there are things I can give them to satisfy their bite. They shouldn't be biting on my shoes or my shoelaces, my pants legs, or me. And it's about setting the rules so they understand they're not allowed to do that. If they were biting mom's paws too hard, mom would nip them. So it's okay for you to make a correction even on a puppy. It's okay. Don't look at it bad. Michelle says, and I'm just going to put this up here because the way my screen is angled, it's hard for me to read the questions the way they're popping up tonight. Athena has made great strides since we disciplined her more. I look back at the video from last year with the zoomies up and down the stairs and jumping on us. That doesn't happen anymore. Beautiful. Because now she understands what her role is in this pack. And it's not that she's in charge. These puppies that this trainer was trying to steal $1,700 from this person from, that she, you don't want the puppy to ever think, or the dog to ever think they're in charge, because that's when we have problems. That's when, as a trainer behaviorist, I have to deal with more problems. My theory is, let's nip it in the bud quick. If we do it from the time they're puppies, it's easier. If we do it from the moment they walk into our house, if they're an older dog and we set the rules, it's easier. Are they going to push the boundaries? Yeah, but so do we as humans. As infants, we're pretty good. Toddlers, we kind of push it and we see where we can go, and mom and dad set the rules. As preteens, we push a little bit harder. They set the rules in the beginning. It's easier to get the kids back, and as teenagers, they push even harder. And again, if you set the rules from infant, toddler, preteen, it's easier. And it's the same theory with the dogs. If we set the rules from the very, very beginning, it is so much easier to control all that. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Again, if it does or if it doesn't, let me know in the comments. Shoot me a comment, say, hey, I need more clarification on this. You're way off base, whatever you guys personally feel. Let me know. I'm not shy. Michelle says, we even have her laying on her bed when we're eating now. Beautiful. And she's not allowed up until we're done. Tonight, she followed me in with my plate and went to her bed without being told. It was amazing what the repetition does. Absolutely. Fantastic job, Michelle. So proud of you guys. That's huge because that couldn't happen 6 months ago, whatever it was. And it was by staying consistent, staying with the right energy, staying with everything we've talked about, it's working. And again, Athena may take 6 months to get this, where Fido may only take 3 weeks to get this. Each dog's an individual. There's another customer of mine who doesn't follow me on the YouTube, but she does on my Saturday morning. So anybody who's been on both, Donna with Stark, she was a nightmare. Donna with Stark. Stark was one of those dogs that when you were eating, if you were standing in the kitchen eating, he was there, looking at you, drooling. If you're sitting down at the table, he was there, trying to get food. She sent me a text with some pictures. They were sitting down eating, and they created a threshold, a boundary, and he sat there, not staring at them, relaxed. She said she didn't have to even say anything, just like Michelle is saying now. She didn't have to tell him because they've been doing this time and time out, every time. And if he got up and he broke that threshold, nope, out, or whatever command they're using. But it's about staying consistent. And I'm glad you mentioned that, the repetition and the consistency, Michelle, because that's the crucial part. And here's the caveat that people don't understand. You may have this perfect with Athena, and it may work great for 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row. And then one day she's going to test you. That's what it is. It's a test. That's when you have to step your game up a little bit and say, out. Don't let her get away with it, because if you let her get away with it, or your energy changes and you get angry because Well, you've been doing it for 6 weeks, and that why you blah, 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 blah. She's gonna know you're not serious. So, like again, like kids, when they get to those different stages of life, they test us as how we handle those tests that make or break what we're doing. So, if in a week or two, Athena's doing real, real good, and she tests you by getting off her bed while you're eating, put the food down, you get up, whatever command you're using, go to your place, go to your bed. She does it, you follow up, and you see, and you just stay consistent day in, day out. She says she does test us, but we have to be firm because she'll walk all over us. Absolutely. And it's not just Athena. I know I pick on Athena a lot. I love that little girl. But it's all dogs. They're going to put, and again, I relate it to kids. Anybody who has kids out there that's watching, kids push us. They know how to push our buttons because they want to see what they can get away with. Dogs do the same thing. And the more you let them get away with, reality is the more money I can make. Rob just nods his head at the bed and she goes, they're beautiful. Beautiful. I do it with Zoe all the time. I mean, in the environment I'm in here now with the 2-bedroom apartment, we have our living room and our kitchen's right there. If Marcy's in the kitchen preparing food, Zoe gets off her bed, goes right there, and I have to constantly remind her, go lay down. Go lay down. I mean, I can snap my fingers, she'll do it, but it's a constant reminder. Because Marcy accidentally drops food. So again, if I'm in there, she doesn't even bother. She'll lift her head off her bed and say, "Yeah, it's him. He ain't gonna give me nothing anyway. And if he does, it'll be in my bowl, so it'll be there when I get up anyway." So they also do know who's there, who's doing it. That's why with Rob, he can just nod his head towards the bed, and she goes, "You're going to be there at one point." Tomorrow it's supposed to be a little nicer out, so I'm going to do some videos of me walking Zoe. I'm going to show you guys how, because I always say the words don't mean anything. And you guys, I think, know that it's the energy and it's how we condition them for the sounds that we teach. And Zoe, the healing part of our walk, I can say the word heel. I can snap my fingers. I can give a little snap, pop at a leash. I don't have to say any words to her if I choose not to, but she'll understand if she's getting too far ahead of me. When I make a corrective action, be it a pop at a leash, a snap at a finger, or a sound, that means slow down and get back to with me. I don't speed up to go to her. She slows down for me to get there. So hopefully I'll figure out how to use a selfie stick tomorrow, and we'll get some videos out there. Probably more on my Facebook page. I may put them up on YouTube. I'm not sure yet. But just to show you, it's consistency. I do this day in, day out with Zoe. And, I was explaining to my customer today, now that we're here and I don't have the privilege of a yard, just let Zoe out. So when I wake up in the morning, when I walk her in the morning, I let her out. The main thing is she has to go to the bathroom. I don't worry about the structure so much. I mean, there's still threshold management. There's still rules that I enforce until we get outside, but I don't do the structure before the recess. I do the recess before the structure. But then my second walk of the morning is all about the structure again. So the first walk is threshold management. I walk out the door first. I invite her out. We go down the stairs. She knows she's not allowed down the stairs before me. We get out to the grassy area. Then I just automatically give her the leash so she can do what she needs to do, which is real, real important. And then after she does her business, I will finish the walk off all structure. So we're going to get structure in there, but I don't necessarily make it the most important thing in the morning. The second walk of the day, I follow those 5 steps on my Master on the Walk Back to Basics style. I think I changed the name of the playlist on YouTube to How to Leash Train Your Dog. I think I did it that way. I follow those 5 steps. Why? Because she needs me to reinforce it. Not that she's a bad dog and she doesn't take advantage of me. But it's important for her and our bonding and our leadership and our relationship for me to do the structure. So she doesn't understand every time we go out on a leash, it's, I can go pee and poop whenever I want to. No. It's not about that kid. So the second walk is there. And I usually do 2 structured walks a day with her. And then the last walk at night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever time I decide I'm going to walk her, is more about, all right, get your stuff out. Let's go. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. But the beauty is what I want to explain. I'm saying this for people that live in an environment like mine, the condos, the apartments, the co-ops, or whatever, where you have to walk your dog. You still have to allow time for the structure. I am definitely going to be taking my Master on the Walk series, or whatever I called it now, and I'm going to really elaborate it. So those quick 20, 15-minute videos, maybe it'll come up a little bit longer. I'll rename it. But I really want to get into the details, because I think that's the biggest disconnect, guys, that we have with our dogs, for that relationship moving forward, is if we can learn to master the walk, all the other problems, in my opinion, don't happen. They start disappearing. For anybody here who has gone through some of my training or has followed my Master on the Walk, if you guys have done it, put in a comment. Let me know if walking your dog properly with the structure has helped some of the other issues that you've had. Because I know I've talked to enough people, and I've done enough Master on the Walk seminars and sessions where what I'm being told is, now that I started walking my dog properly, the dog's not digging up my yard, chewing my furniture, chewing my shoes, doing this, doing that, having the zoomies at 7 o'clock at night, like a lot of puppies will have, because the structure of the walk is also mentally tiring for them. But it's about leadership. Dogs listen to pack leaders. Humans listen to pack leaders. One of the things I say in my training sessions is, people ask me all the time about recall. My dog doesn't come to me. And when I watch the dynamic relationship between the human and the dog is looking at the humans as pack mates. And that'd be no different. And I think my sister's watching, that when I was younger, if I was outside playing with my friends and my sister called me in, I may not necessarily come in. But if my mother or father called me in, I got my blood inside, because my mother and my father were my pack leader. I listened to them. I didn't have to listen to my brother and sister, because they couldn't punish me. They could make my life miserable hell, but they couldn't punish me. So again, a dog will think the same way. So if you're the dog's pack mate, why would I listen to you when I'm having fun, rolling in the mud? Why would I listen to you? So the way I designed the Master in the Walk is about setting that leadership, because it's about structure, and it's about calm energy, and it's about everything I preach constantly. And I am 100% convinced that if people follow all 5 steps of Mastering the Walk, you'll see the other issues that you have disappear. I'm hoping with Athena, once Michelle and Rob can get Athena out on the walk, that all these other problems or issues, I don't want to use the word problems, they have disappear. And it's real important, because I do believe it will work. I know the weather hasn't been very conducive up in New York to really start a lot of what we talked about. Hopefully the weather's going to start breaking, and you guys can actually start doing that small walk to the end of the driveway and back, just to get her used to being out front again. Because I do think that if you can master the walk and have that good hour walk with Athena, you're going to see that fence fighting garbage stops. Or when you call her, she just stops and comes in, because you're going to become more relevant in her life. You are becoming more relevant in her life because she's listening. Before, you weren't of relevance. She wasn't listening. So again, guys, I hope this all makes sense. If it does, put it in the comments. Let me know. I'm dying to get her out there on the leash. Will be quite a challenge. Just do it. Don't go with the mindset that it's going to be a challenge, because guess what, girl? If you go out there with that mindset, it's going to be a challenge. Go out there with confidence. Do it the first times with Rob. Do it with Rob. Let Rob do it. I don't care. Let somebody start the process. But start the process. And it doesn't have to be, I always talk about the magic hour. It doesn't have to be an hour walk in the beginning. If you can only get to the end of your driveway, but it's done right, and you come back in and it's done right, that's a win. Then the next day, go to your neighbor's driveway and come back. Take it in baby steps. Don't rush the process. Hi, Antonella. How are you? Let me just pop this up, because like I said, unfortunately, guys, it's hard for me to see it the way I have it. Antonella asks, is the person who holds the leash the only person the dog will listen to? So with the reactive dog, a person walking along with me have value? That's a good question. The person holding the leash should be the more relevant person. But again, I'm going to use my own situation. When I walk with Zoe, if I'm with her I'm the one who's going to take control of the situation when she's on the leash, no matter what's going on around me. If my wife is walking her or my daughters are walking her, I kind of let them take the lead and I assist. I don't take over. The biggest problem, um, I'm gonna, the biggest problem I have, especially with us men folk, is if and I'm gonna use myself as an example. I'm gonna be a typical man for a second. Um, if my wife is walking Zoe and Zoe is misbehaving, and I go, oh, I'm the man. Oh, I'm going to take off. That's the worst thing I could do because then I make my wife not relevant in Zoe's world. I have to let her deal with it. And then if she's having a problem, I can assist her, but not take over. So if I was dealing with a reactive dog on a leash, if I was working with you, Antonella, and you had the dog on a leash, I'm going to guide you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to direct everything towards you, telling you what to do. And then if it gets to the point where you find it's too much, then I would take the leash from you just to show you, and we'd regroup and we start the process over. The person holding the leash does need to be the more relevant. And I hope that answered your question because that's real important. That person holding the leash. A lot of times, what I'll do, and this is a way I've worked with people with young kids because the kids want to walk the dogs, but physically the kids can't walk the dogs. A lot of times, what I tell parents to do is we'll get the process started of the dog walking on the leash, the adults. And then what I'll tell the parents to do, okay, you got the good structure, you know how to make your corrections, great. Now what we're going to do is put 2 leashes on the dog. You're going to have your child in front of you as you walk. So the first thing the dog sees is the child. If there's a correction made, dog's not going to understand that, yeah, it's really you doing it, but the kid has a leash in the hand. You're making the correction. Dog looks, oh crap, that kid's in charge too. And it's worked. I've done it probably 50 times in the last year with kids and parents. It works. Double leash. I've done that for a case like in Michelle's case where Athena's a big, strong dog. So when you get out into the public with her, you may want to do it with Rob because physically he can handle Athena a little bit better. And you have two leashes on her. One leash you're holding, one leash he's holding. He's behind you. He can help you and guide you, but Athena's going to think you're doing it. And again, guys, if this makes sense, let me know. I appreciate it. That was a great question, Antonella. Thank you very much. Michelle says, I'm going to start in the yard and get her used to being on leash again. Absolutely. I mean, this winter kind of ruined you guys up there. I lucked out. I got out of there before the snow for the most part. So, but we're having the same issue here. I mean, not snow, but it's been raining pretty much day in, day out since I've been down here. I think since I've been down here, today was the 5th day without rain. So it's kind of the same situation. It's very hard to work with dogs out there in the rain, but you have to. I know it's hard with the bad weather, especially the cold weather up north. You got to worry about the salt the town people put on the roads and stuff. So I understand all that. We usually have 1 leash on the prong and 1 on the martingale. Great, perfect. And then slowly reintroduce the prong. And how I would reintroduce the prong, because I know she's kind of reactive to the prong, you said, is if it was me and I was handling Athena at this point, I'd have both leashes in my hand. So when I made a correction, I'd be making a correction with the martingale and the prong at the same time. So it kind of layers it together that, oh, that's the same feeling. Okay, no matter what I have on me, I have to behave. Just watch for her redirection because you did mention she took time against eat, but I don't think you'll get to that point now because now she understands you guys are in charge. So that prong may be a lot easier now. That's my honest opinion because I think she understands you guys are now here and she's over here somewhere. So, but definitely keep me updated. Let me know how it goes. I know you will. And again, so guys with the puppies, if they're in the crate crying, let them cry. Go in. You can make corrections. Nope. Stop it. Don't use too many words. Remember the KISS theory, guys. Keep it simple, stupid. 1 discipline word. So if they're barking in the cage, walk in there. Nope. Wait till they calm down and quiet down. Turn around, walk out. And if they do it again, you just repeat the process. Make it uncomfortable for them to bark in the crate. That's all you're doing. It's no different than a kid crying in a crib. We don't take the kids out when they cry in the crib. We don't take dogs out when they cry in the crate. Absolutely, you can use the prong and the e-collar at the same time. If you're going to use a leash correction, which is a discipline correction, red button. So it'll be boop, 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 But if that makes sense, if you're doing pressure release, heel coming back, pressure, black button. Let me know if that makes sense. I definitely will get into more e-collar videos on my YouTube channel, guys. It's just I need to get my desk set up, and it was supposed to come today and didn't come today, so I'm not very happy. So I can really lay things out, and I can have a pseudo script going for it, because I do want to sound a little bit more professional than I usually do. What if she redirects? If she redirects and you have that e-collar and you turn that e-collar up higher and you correct her with a firm no, no anger, no frustration, no nonsense, nope, make it uncomfortable. She's not to redirect. Pop the leash harder. So you got to make her understand. And then what you do, we stop the redirect. And it's no different than what I did when she kind of was trying to jump on Rob's back to get him to bring her back to the house when I was there. We waited. She made the jumping motion. I'm going back in. I'm in charge. Blah, blah, blah. I made the correction with the e-collar. And then what do? We waited till she settled down, and we continued doing what we want to do. She may try to redirect. Again, it's not an aggressive thing. It's her trying to see where she stands. If she redirects, you correct her. Everybody stays calm. I know it's hard because she's a big girl. Hopefully she won't, like you said, because she's listening more. You guys are more relevant to her now, so she may not. But if you do, and then you wait till she calms down, and then you continue doing what you were doing to begin with. So if you were walking, you continue to walk the same way we did it in your yard when she tried to jump up on Rob and bring him back into the house. I made the corrections. We waited, and then I said, Rob, continue. You're walking around the yard. Don't go back towards the house. And we did this a few times, and what ended up happening? She just stopped the nonsense. But we were consistent. Nobody got angry and frustrated. We all stayed calm, and it worked. It's all how we're going to perceive it. Remember, guys, that energy is the best communication tool. I think, Michelle, you're finding that out as we go along. Hopefully, Antonella is finding that out, from listening to me on these formats, that the energy is the best form of communication. Don't worry about the words. Don't worry about the whys, because I hate the whys. You all know me. I hate the whys. Don't ask me why a dog is doing something, because it doesn't matter why. You don't like it, we're going to fix it. So again, I hope all this makes sense, guys, because I can ramble on and on and on. I'm going to put it out on my Facebook, maybe tonight even, depending on how much energy I have when I finish this up and eat dinner. Usually after dinner, I try to, on my chair. But I'm going to put out a questionnaire on my Facebook page. So please, if you're on my Facebook page, make sure you keep an eye on it. What topics do you guys want me to discuss in my lives? Because I feel like a lot of times we're talking about the same thing time in, time out. So if there's a specific subject that I get during the week that I see on Facebook or my own personal training, or if there's a poll that we put out there, share it with your friends. Share it with your friends. Let them answer the question. As long as I have a way of getting back the information, hey, what do you guys want to see? Is it about leash reactivity? Is it about food aggression? Is it about this? That's what we can start our conversations with, and of course, get into the questions later on. So whatever you guys want, I'm here to help. So with that being said, guys, if there's no other questions, please remember that we're here to help the dogs. That's the most important thing. Your energy is going to be the communication that you're going to need to communicate with your dogs properly. And with that being said, again, thank you for inviting me into your homes this Wednesday evening and every Wednesday evening. I really do appreciate it. Stay healthy, stay safe. God bless. And remember, together, we can help one dog and one family at a time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, and we'll see you next week.